to the Gold Goats and Guns podcast for January 5th, 2026. Yay, I got it right. My name's Tom Longer. We have a lot to talk about. It's episode 240, and I know that it's been literally a month of the day since I did one of these, and I have news for y'all, folks. I have like 15 podcasts to put together in the next 60 days. I know I'm going to be doing this like every other day from here on out because I got to go through my entire list of my usual suspects and my, I don't know, orbit, think tank, intellectual dork web, whatever you want to call it. But for today, we have former Brigadier General Blaine Holt is back with the podcast. Blaine, how are you?
I am doing great. What a way to kick off the year, huh?
That's not, you think? I don't know about you, dude, but I know President Trump really. I like ribeye, but I don't like three in a day. I need to bury it up a little bit, really. So I guess we're going to talk about the 800-pound canary in the coal mine. Is currently sitting in a holding pen in New York somewhere. Nicolas Maduro and what happened in Venezuela. So I'm not sure where we start there because I think we both believe that this thing has like so many layers to it
It
that
does.
we could do. You and I could sit here and talk for 4 hours about it, but we're
We
not going
could.
to do that. We're going to talk about as we normally do, maybe 60 to 75 minutes and see how far we get. So
Yeah.
I don't want you to start with what you think has happened, going on,
Mhm.
where you want to take it, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, so the special ops snake eaters, they've been working at this for 6 months, but I've been a C-17 mission commander of these folks, and I can tell you that they stay in a warm status on some semblance of this mission in some fashion or form all the time. So there's always something tactical training wise going on for this very, very edgy tip of the spear. But so they've been at this for a good 4 months, but a really important milestone gets us to this particular event that I don't think enough people are really talking about, and that is the release of two documents. One is the National Security Strategy, and the other one is the Financial Stability Oversight Council Guide. Essentially, the two of these things together lay out the Trump doctrine in very explicit ways. We're going to move from a rules-based order established by the British Empire after World War II really inculcated via the Bretton Woods concept, and we're going to move out of that world that basically you could say the United States has been a pack mule, and we're going to move into this new world called the understanding-based multipolar world, where kind of an arc format, America, Russia, China, we have zones of influence. And it doesn't mean we'll always agree, and it doesn't mean we'll have dust ups with each other. But what it means is that we're going to clean up our hemisphere. And Russia and China, by the way, you're invited out of the hemisphere mostly. Not all, but mostly. And we're all going to erase this thing called the Ayatollah and their proxies in our hemisphere as well. So along that path and laying out in explicit detail, this is where we're going. Well, what's the first item of action? Well, the comms were belligerently directed at Venezuela. There's nothing like having the USS Gerald Ford off your coast to kind of get your attention. Sinking a few fishing vessels. Scott Bessent rolls up a few, illicit banks and that type of thing. But then we get to the place where everybody's wondering, oh my gosh, we're actually going to do regime change. We're going to take these elite forces and we're going to blind them, take away their communications. We're going to get onto the ground, and within 3 hours, we're going to extract the first family or the pseudo fake first family of Venezuela and pull back. That's the tactical event. But what you're left with is operational and strategic effects. And I'll wrap up here with my answer. But that means that our adversaries and our friends around the world understand A, the United States military is second to nobody. That's one. Two, we have a very willing president who will do these things on our behalf. And those two things combined have all these capitals around the world recalculating. The heat map is obviously on the Caribbean and on Iran. But don't think for 5 seconds that the generals and the military planners of China and Russia weren't tremendously impressed by what they just saw happen.
Yeah, I think that's an understatement, right? Uh, and also, to be honest with you, like the way I've been looking at this, and I'm thank you for the opening on that because when you really look at it, we are dealing with the end of that, as you said, the rules-based order that was created by the British. Um, and then now it's a matter of undoing all of the kind of crappy move, counter move stuff that was
Right.
all left over from the Cold War. You have all these like little, hot spots and all the rest of it. And at the fear of oversimplifying this, or I
Right.
know that's not even the right word, that what we're looking at now is the if we look at when we reframe the Cold War, right? It seems to me like the the Russians and the Soviets did all of these things during the Cold War to counter the British in so
Mhm.
many ways, it's this move counter move thing, and then all of these left um these things are left over, and they have to be dealt with bit by bit by bit by bit.
Right.
So Russia's influence in Venezuela and Cuba, the Chinese coming in, and this, and that, all that stuff has to be systematically dealt with. All the issues in the Middle East have to be dealt with. Afghanistan. You can go around the world and you can start seeing how these have to be just knocked off the table one by one by one, so that we no longer have this terrible kind of Gordian knot
Right.
of of a crappy chessboard, right?
Right.
When no one can figure out how they're going to get to the next big move and then break the board open. And what Trump just said, like, nope, you know what? We're just taking that thing off the board and let's go to endgame. Because the point is that in that chess game, it's like one side was playing to win and the other side was playing to lose.
Right.
And now we're no longer playing to lose. And so, in many ways, I don't want to absolve the Soviets in any way of any of their, quote unquote evil or anything else, but you can see
Sure.
how so many of their moves in the Western Hemisphere were done as counter moves to what was happening, because the United States was effectively an extension of the remnant of the British Empire. We had
Right.
become the big dumb muscle. So and now we're no longer that. And so now Venezuela is one of those things that's been taken off the board, and now we can start moving through the next set of moves.
I think when you talk about the gamification of this, it's so important because President Trump's proclivity is when he makes a big move on the board, and this is a tremendously big move.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about linear thinking. It's not about I did this thing and I'm going to see, and I did it because of this one reason, and I'm going to get this one effect. It's I did this thing. I'm going to get these 25 second and third order effects out of this thing. And I may not have to do another thing for some time while the boards all readjust themselves. And so, I've been watching the popular press, or not so popular anymore as it would be, is watching them report on, this is just about an oil grab. This is just about gold and silver and getting that. This is just about whatever the flavor of the moment is, but it's not. It's like, hey, look, kids, on every exam, there's an answer called all of the above. And
Right.
that's what we're getting here is an all of the above. So is it about resources and roots? Oh, you bet your ass it is.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not forget that the Venezuelans stole a lot of this stuff from us outright, and it was
Mm-hmm.
paid for by investors fair and square. Um, and is it about rogue intelligence agencies? Absolutely is. No question
Mm-hmm.
about that. Is it about bought off and paid off politicians at the local, state, and federal level who are all very nervous today about what has
Mm-hmm.
happened and what's out there in the ether? Is it about Epstein? Is it about Russia? Is it about China? Is it about the city of London? All of the above. And so this is one of those classics on the chessboard where you're like, it's like a Queen's Gambit move. I'm going to do this one thing, and you now have five problems. You don't have one problem. You got
Right.
five of them. And this is what I love about this level of strategy, because the play in the strategic world itself then becomes a deterrent as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you would look at China, Beijing. The politics internally are absolutely falling apart all around them. You've got they don't know who the hell the leader is. They just know it's not Xi Jinping. He gets to make statements.
Mm-hmm.
But as they sort that all out, and whether there is even a Chinese Communist Party at the end of the day, the the beauty of it is they're looking at the United States and President Trump that is fending off all the alligators around the swamp and still doing these kinds of things, and his strategy is engendering all kinds of respect. Here's the downside. The enemy is now awakened. And that's what
Yes.
this move on the board did.
Hmm.
He has got everybody from the Massimos, the Lamberts, the Rothschilds, Rockefeller. They're all standing up, going, "What the hell is going on here?"
Hmm.
And they want answers because none of their little globalist urchins have, any of the brain power required to explain that answer as to what's happening right now. But if you look at these globalists and elites, as we move out of this debt-based Ponzi scam system and back into hard metals, who's invested in hard metals? America, Russia, China. And what are they doing? They're not exporting any of this crap. What did the financialists do? They blew up the real estate markets. If you were to buy real estate now, it's only going in one direction.
Hmm.
And then you want gold or metal to put your fiat into to save some value here? Go ahead and try to find some. It's called unobtainium. You're unobtainium. You're not going to
Yep.
get any. And so it's just one move on the board.
I know.
And the next move's already in play because he said the C-17's on their my beautiful airplane on their way to the sand with the snake eaters on board. And they're probably just gonna eat chow at Al Udeid and not do anything.
Mm. I was really, it's funny. When you say all that, and I agree. What I was thinking about, was it yesterday? I was doing my market report for the patrons, and so
Mhm.
as always, I always go back and forth between chess and Go. Right, chess is one thing, but
Mhm.
Go is actually the better model
It
because
is.
it's the ultimate area control game, right?
Right.
And
Five
so
front war. Yep.
Right. And so, well, that's not even just that. Going back to the speech I gave ages ago at the Ron Paul Institute about the 7-player game of Go.
Mhm.
It's actually like 5 different layers of a Go game. But let's just take the one Go game that's being played between the United States and London, right? Go is a game of area control where you build stable formations
Mhm.
that, that's my area of the board. This is your area of the board. That's my area of the board. This is your area of the board. Well, interestingly enough, when you look at the Go board, sometimes, and as those formations become closer and closer and closer to being permanent, they are also metastable because when you start to resolve something in another area of the board,
Right.
that could possibly, depending on how those things play out, could wind up unwinding all of the other structures on the board. And that's what Venezuela was. Venezuela was I'm placing that Blackstone there,
Mhm.
and that has just blown up apart this little bit, which then
Mhm.
is now going to cascade into blowing up that structure,
Yeah.
and then that structure, and then that
Yeah.
structure, and then that structure, and that structure. And what looked like a fairly even game board is not that anymore. And I
Right.
mean this about London in particular,
Yeah.
because of all the things you just said. London has its ties and its fingers into all of those things.
That's
And
right.
in order for America, Russia, and China to be able to, in the future, express themselves on their individual game boards, the one between America and
Yep.
China, the one between America and Russia, the one between Russia and China that no one wants to talk about.
Right.
Like, and you start to realize that London is going to be the big loser here
Yeah.
because Venezuela ties into gold and silver
Yep.
and oil and the trading and the financial plumbing and the organized
That's
and the
right.
cash flow and
Yeah.
all of their little Praetorians, as Ian
We'll be
Brown would.
setting the strike price now. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
We'll be setting the strike price now. Thank you.
Yeah, we will be deciding on how cash of dollars move around the world to fund
Right.
these mercs over in Syria, or the IRGC fuckheads over in Iran, or the Axis of Resistance remnants that are in Lebanon, and all of this stuff. It's all tied to the same thing.
Two
But
critical errors. London
sure.
made two critical assumption errors. So in the strategic world, from war planning perspective, it's always you've got a red team what you're going to go do, and you've got to go throw rocks at your own plan. They made two critical errors. Error number one was televised in the House of Lords with one of their elected or their members who said, I have talked to my American friends in the American intel community and about the disturbing rewrite of the national security strategy.
Mm.
And they assure me that not only will this never find any tractability or legs from America, that they rarely follow any of their guidance, and these are basically dead on arrival documents. That was a major assumptive error on their part.
Absolutely.
They got
Absolutely.
very complacent out of that because they thought Trump's deep state will never let any of that see the light of day. They've never met Delta Force. And then the second assumption that they let go, and I would have made the same assumption, by the way, they would have assumed that in the balance of things, that the Delta Force and the 160th and the 75th Ranger Regiment getting this exactly perfect as it would have to be, getting it right down to the nines. 800 variables have to go completely correct. That's all the wrench turners, the chow halls, everything. They would say that mission represents way too much risk. Even Trump won't take that risk because it's a lottery ticket mission. He's got one chance at success and he's got 1,000 at failure. There's no way he'll do that. Mm-hmm. And so even with their own intel assets on the ground, MI6, I am certain, was parroting back, don't worry about this. He's not going to do this. It would be too difficult for him. And magically, let's think about the arc. Magically, Russian and Chinese air defense systems fail at the exact same time. What are the odds of this?
I'm getting the vapors over here that Russian air defense wasn't any good against our stuff.
Or they work perfectly. If they're not turned on, they actually don't work very well. And if you sell stuff to another country and you activate, I don't know, what did we see in Pakistan and Iran? Kill switches, you say?
Yeah, really? Yeah, it's the same. It's
because I think there was deals cut way in advance of this, and and look at the protests out of Beijing and out of Moscow. Totally predictable. I could have written Lavrov's statement myself right here in my own home.
I know it was. I mean, honestly, the Russian the Russian statement was it was almost comical. It was like it was actually the highest level of dry comedy.
I'm just glad they let a little bit of time go before they hit the send key.
Right.
Because in the Biden administration, whenever they do really bad crap, they'd hit the send key like seconds after their op. And now here we go, a few days go by and it's like, whoa, this is horrendous. We won't stand for this.
And they're like, really? Okay, then why did you let it? And the same thing happened. The Russian silence, and you knew this was coming from the Russians because they did the exact same thing in Iran.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna say something you're gonna disagree with me violently, but that's okay.
Okay.
All right. So you saw Oleg Deripaska's tweet, and that oligarch got out there and said, "Hey, is everybody paying attention here? If America gets control of Venezuelan oil, they're going to set the strike price at 50. We're going to be broke." Well, that's all true. Okay, but here's the thing. This is what's really cool. You would think Putin is going to be up a rope without anything, because if we start to deplete Russian resources further in their energy stocks and the price of oil comes down sub 50, then maybe he's now compelled to get to a negotiating table and end the Ukraine war. Well, hold up. Isn't that in his best interest anyway?
No, I'm not going to disagree with you. Actually, no. Okay, I've already gamed this out. Let me count.
So
So
Putin can go to all of those little war hawks around him that are pressuring him. No, fight the war. We can win a nuclear war. Listen, he's going to go to them and go, "We're out, man. We're out of Schlitz. It's time. We got to wrap this thing because they're about to make $30 a barrel oil." Now, what say you?
Well, what I was going to say is the following. It's two things. One, because I actually thought about this the other day. I think I might have even said it when I was on Crypto Rich when I was driving back to Tennessee the other day. Which is the following: say oil goes down to the $50 a barrel range, or even 45. Remember, the Russians pull it out of the ground for $9 a barrel. The ruble free floats on the market at in order to deal with this problem. But the important thing is this: remember that the Russian state government gets its oil tariffs based on a sliding scale of the oil price, of the Brent crude price, or whatever they're using for the benchmark now. Meaning below $40, the oil companies pay no taxes to the state, to the Russian state coffers. And then it's a rising scale, it's the progressive income tax scale, basically. The higher the oil price goes, the more taxes they pay as a percentage. So from Putin's perspective, if he wants to get out of the war economy, if he wants to get out of the gas station with nuclear weapons economy, that, I hate to quote fucking John McCain, but if he wants to get out of that, which he does, and he's made this abundantly clear that it's time for Russia to become a real country, then they have to start not using that oil revenue as a means by which to effectively to run the economy. They have to now start building a real economy. How are they going to build that real economy? Get out of the war mode, cut deals with the United States, invite the investment, get the sanctions, invite the sanctions, the lift, and all of that stuff. And now we get a real Russia. Now, and so I'm with you completely on this. I'm like, absolutely, this is what Putin wants. This is what the Europeans starting the war in Ukraine was forestalling in the first place.
Right.
He was happy. He was at that point. He's like, let's cut a fucking deal so I can start building a real Russian economy. And then they poked the snake in 2021 all year in order to get. That's what the Biden junta was all about.
Yeah.
Was to forestall Russia becoming a real country. Because if they don't do that, they then become China's bitch.
That's exactly it. That's
for the
exactly
rest of the century. So they need the United States.
And Europe's going to become Russia's bitch. Just de facto. Europe's going to become Russia's bitch.
And and that's exactly what Putin and Trump talked about in Alaska.
With Wang Yi, you're telling me Wang Yi was in Moscow with Witkoff and Putin at the same time, and no, that was
they didn't have those conversations?
Yeah, it was
Bungle, like fuck off, like give me a break. Like obviously this is no, you're absolutely right, Blake. I think we're not not at all. The Russians can handle oil coming into the $40 a barrel range.
Yeah,
it will be hard. It will be hard on their quote unquote trade surplus. Yeah. That's fine, but it'll also then force them into a mode where they have to become quote unquote a real country. And this is how they have to also then. Now that you said this, hold on just 1 second.
Yeah,
because it just popped into my head. How do you break the financialists, the last lever of financialist control over Russia's economy? You break the Bank of fucking Russia and Nabulina's IMF trained monetary policy, where she's got interest rates way too fucking high. Yeah. And what's happened over the course of the last 3 years, because interest rates are so high, from the discount rate is so high, it's 16% or some stupid shit. Well, I've checked on this. Private lending in Russia has been exploding because there's so much capital that wants to flow to build.
So who gets killed here? The central bank.
They're getting it from private sources at 6, 7, 8%.
And the central bank dies. So here's the other thing that's burning a wick on the Russians, and this is why this is so good for Putin and the team, is when you pull a barrel of oil out of Siberia, you break nuts, bolts, lubricants, you destroy metals, you destroy all of it. And the world's greatest engineers in petroleum do not sit in Siberia. They sit in Houston, Texas. And so they have a need, after 4 years of this grinding war and the sanctions, to get the logistics undercarriage put back together again underneath Russia's oil. They have to do that. The other part that they've got to have is they've got to have access to spare parts and aviation. They got to get back into the world economy. But that's okay, because when we talk about the ARC and the NSS, Europe, inconveniently, because they thought they were going to be in World War III and take over 75 trillion in Russian resources, Europe deindustrialized itself, thinking we sacrifice in the short term. They played the climate cult game. They allowed invaders to come into their spaces, destroy European culture. Europe's a basket case. It's not going to get better for decades now. And so what you're going to see, I think, is U.S. forces start to every year make their way towards the door. NATO becomes less and less of an alliance as it is maybe a defense agreement. And you're going to see a reemergence of a European industrial base that is dependent on the Russians. So, to some extent, the United States, but they're going to rebuild Nord Stream 1 and 2. They're going to rebuild all these things, because what we'll see is European dependence on Russia keeps us all safe and from this other thing happening again.
Moreover, and interestingly enough, now that you say all that, let's go back to what some of the stuff that I think you and I have talked about, and I know I've talked about, which is that what Trump was doing was very clearly breaking off the entire northern coast of the Mediterranean Ocean.
No question.
And the Mediterranean Sea. Why? And he was and what did he do? He moved. The first thing he did was he moved a whole lot of NATO assets out of Poland, out of Germany, and everything else. Moved it all to Greece.
Yep.
Why? To point it at Erdogan in Turkey,
Right.
and moved a lot of it into Italy. Why?
Yep.
Because Giorgia Meloni and the Italians are getting ready to renationalize their sovereign gold,
Right.
pull out of the euro, and now the Europeans themselves are talking about becoming a northern
They are.
European alliance and kicking out the pigs, quote
Right.
unquote, as it were. Right.
That's
And
us.
so, and moreover,
Yeah.
and the Visegrads, right?
Yeah.
Centered around Hungary, the Czech Republic. Poland is still the pivot point here because Donald Tusk is still, prime minister, but even that's going to change soon.
Oh, it is.
But they all want out from underneath this nonsense, and Erdogan has got to make a decision about what's he going to do to maintain modern Turkey in any way, manner, shape, or form. So it's like
he may have that decision made for him.
Oh, I think you are absolutely right about that, because in no way, manner, shape, or form is the gas flowing through Turk Stream 1 and 2. You think that's not going to flow into Hungary and Serbia? You're out of your mind. So the Europeans are hoping at best at this point to regroup and hope that the United States. I think they want the United States to leave NATO, because then they can they lose all restraint on their future actions after they quote unquote rebuild their military along the French lines. Now you got the French and the Germans fighting each other as to who gets to be the defense contractor of
Good
Europe.
luck with that Eurobond.
Music to my fucking ears, as far as I'm concerned. Watching the French and the Germans fight over who gets to build weaponry.
They won't even be able to do it. Here's the problem. Mertz. We're going to spend 50 billion in euros on our defense. Okay. Good start. 50 billion's a nice little down payment since you don't have a military. I will tell you it's not enough money. But where did they say the capital outlays will go? We're going to buy new tanks. What? No, today's wars do not require tanks. If you're watching Ukraine, you are misinformed, sir. Do not buy tanks. So it's really about, I'm going to put Keynesian type defense injections into existing industries because I destroyed Volkswagen, Mercedes, and Porsche. Only Rheinmetall can take over these other plants. We'll go build tanks. That's what the 50 billion will go into. France is largely arguing for the same types of technology. All they're going to be able to do is they can go at each other, I suppose. But the two wicks that they should be watching, and they're not watching these flanks at all, neither is Erdogan, is all of the invaders, the Islamists that are now in Europe and erasing European culture, unfortunately, as we speak. People are not paying enough attention to the now 3.5-day-old blackout in Berlin, the capital city of Germany. They do not have power there, and they're not going to have it until the 8th. That's how bad it was sabotaged. The group calls themselves Antifa. It's really a cloak for ISIS, and I have to think that it was done with some probably pretty high-end weaponry. Not sure if it was beamed EMP pulses or what did it, but their grid is in woeful condition. Wait a minute. Just last night, the same thing happened in Athens, Greece. Don't know how long that power outage is going to go either, but the exact same thing happened there. And so what I'm saying is there are activated cells. We have to be careful about this here as well. There are cells that are now activating. These are the histrionics that you're seeing out of the Middle East, in an Ayatollah who's going to throw a Hail Mary pass, in an Erdogan who put together Al-Qaeda again and ISIS. And then Erdogan's got the flank of, you built Frankenstein, you built ISIS, you gave them Syria. But the problem is your Turkish general staff, which already hates your guts from the purge in 2016, they are now infiltrated by ISIS, and ISIS inside the Turkish general staff ranks with the Turkish general staff, they look like a pretty credible force to go ahead and take you down. So, and then look at your economy backdrop behind you. I don't think anybody who's a Turk right now is going to really care.
And that's a fascinating point, because the thing I've been thinking about is, clearly is that if you want to ensure that World War III can't be fought, you got to take the last big army off the board, and that's the Turkish army. Yeah,
and they're not going to do anything he says.
Right. Well,
when it comes to shove, and he points them at Greece or in any direction, the Turkish general staff is going to go, how about we just roll you up, and then we don't have to go to war.
Right. And then we don't have to deal with this anymore and deal with this nonsense anymore. And that also means that we're literally looking at the end of the arbitrary and terrible borders created by
Yeah.
Sykes-Picot.
Yes. Oh, no, no question about it. No,
Yeah.
it's all up for grabs now. It's all
And
up
it's
for grabs.
all up for grabs. And so, it's one of those things. It's funny. The rules-based order was supposed to end the idea that we could redraw political boundaries by force. But the problem is that was all for everybody else, not for them. They were all happy to redraw the political borders in breaking up Yugoslavia 18 ways from Sunday.
Right.
And that's okay. It's okay when they do it. But when anybody else wants to do it,
Right.
no. And
there was gambling in the casino. Here's your winnings.
Yeah. What? Yeah, exactly. I'm shocked that there's gambling going on in the casino.
But this is the thing. So now let's look at the Don Rowe doctrine, which is what he's calling it. The Don Rowe doctrine is might makes right. We're big, you're little. You're pissing us off. You're killing 70,000 Americans per year. We're going to stop this. We're going to end you doing that. We're going to go roll up these corrupt politicians that are helping you do that. And might makes right. Now, you've got, and the trolling is masterful. So Stephen Miller's wife put out that map of Greenland that's got the American flag on it. And now they're all pissed off. And it's like, what are you going to do about it?
Well, this is the thing I think everybody really needs to wrap their head around.
Yeah.
We are in this stupid frame of mind.
Yeah, we're playing by British rules.
You
can't do that. We're civilized.
Yeah. That war is only fought between nation states across arbitrary political borders. When the truth of the matter is that the state of the world has been at war forever, and it's
we the people.
Actors.
We the people. Global edition versus City of London. There you go.
Yeah, no. Well, it's that. It's just to make the really fine point on this here that we are in a state of war, and it because of non-state actors running rampant with all of this intelligence service crap.
Yeah.
Running the wars while the politicians all get blamed and are supposed to be hamstrung by the post-World War II rules-based order institutional groups. Like the UN coming out this morning that we have to do something to stop the United States. I'm like, what are you going to do? Issue a sternly worded letter from Putin's mom?
That's it. We protest this in the most vigorous terms.
The most vigorous terms. Sire, the peasants are revolting. Yes. That's right. They stink on ice. You know what I mean?
But if Kaja Kallas, on the other hand, if Kaja Kallas says, oh, yeah, well, we've got to divide up Russia and just make it a bunch of different little countries, and that'll be fine. But listen, if we can't get this done, how are we going to take on China? And these are their own words.
I know. And I'm like, it's so very funny. And I'm like, guys, there comes a point when things are so bad that state actors have to intervene now to deal with the non-state actor level of war that we're dealing with, which is creating war, privation, human tragedy, mass migration, all of this stuff, poverty, enslaving billions of people to a financial system that doesn't serve anybody except them. And I'm sorry, I'm not over here clutching my fucking pearls about and getting the fucking vapors because Donald Trump just this kidnapped freaking Maduro. I'm just not doing it.
Yeah.
Because this is exactly what needed to be done. If you understand, as we've laid out, you understand that Maduro wasn't actually in charge of Venezuela.
No. He's a bus driver.
Yeah,
Guy's a bus driver. Dude's a bus driver.
Exactly. Not even a very good one, apparently. I mean, you know what I mean?
I mean, the nice part is if you combine realpolitik and a realist view of the world, and you combine that with fifth generation warfare, not only do you start to push back on something that has attempted to enslave the world with a voracious appetite that shows no signs of decreasing. There will be no benevolent City of London. What they've got planned for after the Trump administration will enslave the planet, quite frankly. Exactly. And so if you have that in mind, in a fifth generation warfare environment with realpolitik, and we saw probably the very first very big maneuver on the board that just happened this weekend with Maduro, and I know that we're all excited about it. People, you're saving lives. You're saving countless lives. You pull off a Maduro, you just saved millions of people. You really did, and it's hard to make that case. And I think, and this is something I've encouraged the Trump team to do, is, okay, it's done. Please get to the Resolute desk And don't try to get us to a PhD course on this, but kind of take it to mom and pop in the country and let them understand a little bit about what the stakes are and show a little leg about what's coming, just a little bit.
Yeah. And I agree with that completely. He has to do this very soon. To be honest with you, I think Trump is finally just taking a well-earned rest and actually getting a decent
Yeah.
night's sleep.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the dude doesn't sleep enough in the first place, and he's 80 years old, and at times, he need to be sharp. And
Yeah.
you got this thing done. Take a couple days, let it percolate, give it 72 hours. We're 48 hours away from it,
Yeah.
or just tomorrow 72.
Yeah.
Some and between now and
And take a
Wednesday,
day. Take a
yeah,
day.
yeah.
Go get in the sauna, go fire Susie Wiles, get a good meal, and
Please.
we'll,
No more ribeyes. I
we'll
can't.
be
I can't
great.
take any more ribeyes at this point, dude. Like this firing Susie Wild. Like now we're talking about stretch goals. Like you know what I mean?
I mean, just to take the edge off, just a little
Just to
something.
take the
Have
edge
a
off.
sauna, get a hot dog.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, Susie, come
Get
in
some
here.
McDonald's. Have a
Yeah.
Diet Coke.
Hey, Susie, before you go home, stop by.
Stop, just stop by the office. You're fired.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, I mean, I have to say, like, if you don't, if you think that we're crazy about what we're talking about here, did you notice him parading the paddy wagon with Maduro down the streets of New York? Did you miss did you miss Maduro giving the thumbs
Yeah.
up pictures with
Yeah.
all the guys around him in the
Yeah.
handcuffs? I'm like, come on, like he was.
That's what should be making them all nervous in the swamp
Yeah,
is it is obvious
yeah.
that he is never going to see a courtroom. It
No.
is obvious that he is helping in ways that are unimaginable. And I
Hmm.
just pray for the man's health and I
Hmm.
pray that he doesn't get Epstein suicided.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's ultimately, what we're hoping here. And to be honest with you, just breaking it all up is what's necessary.
Do you know what
And
he should have
then
done? Tom, do you know what he should have done?
what?
Trump should have let Maduro drive through the streets of New York.
In a bus.
Yeah, with the big paddy wagon. And just that he's driving in the convoy.
And that might have been a little over the top line. It might have been a little
It's
too on the nose. You know
it's
what I
totally
mean?
my
Like,
style. This is probably why I'm a
well,
one
yeah,
star, not a 4 star.
yeah. That's why I'm not. That's why I'm not president, dude. Let me tell you, because I would have done that. I would have done that. With him wearing a propeller beanie, for Christ's
Yeah.
sake. I would have been
I
like,
want there to be a time in the Situation Room when President Trump goes, all right, we're going to close a meeting, but I need just one batshit crazy idea. And that's where I would have raised my hand and said, all right, I know everybody's going to think this is nuts, but you got to let him drive the paddy wagon. Please. Come on now.
oh my god. Um. So okay. So I think we've established a lot of that about Venezuela. Let's talk about some of the other, and now let's like fill in some of the details. I really think it's important.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people do not understand. And maybe you can help me with this because C-17 pilot. I've heard multiple reports slash rumors, whatever, that there have been a whole lot of American aircraft landing in the UK.
Yes. Yes. It's all true. It's all
Okay.
true.
Talk to
So
me about
let's talk about their
what
units.
that
So,
is and what you think it is.
well, you could say on that package and the units that that are inside those C-17s and where they come from, you could say this next episode is brought to you by the same folks who brought you Venezuela. It's the same package. It's the same folks. So in the back of those 17s, we have what we call little birds, helicopters. We've got the personnel, the material. They're all coming from the same units. And the reason that we know that is because I think that through alternate sources on Twitter, it's only been put out about 100 million times, meaning if we want to move those folks around in a very clandestine way and you don't know where they are in the world, then we can do that. But what we're doing is we're showing leg and we're showing that this package had left largely has finished up on the Venezuela side. It's on its way to Europe. And the first three, what we call the advanced birds or the Advon birds, are on their way to the Middle East. And so what we're doing is we're transmitting that we finished Venezuela and we could do this again. And
Mhm.
President Trump did say, I'm not going to tolerate the Iranian government shooting its own people who are protesting.
Right.
And so you put those things together, And it's nice that we use England as that stopping point. Fairford, RAF Fairford,
Mhm.
Royal Air Force. Again, you got to get 7 to 8 effects out of one chess move, and the chess move is brilliant. Normally, we could take those jets right into Ramstein and then do the lily pad hop from there, but no, we went to the UK. And so it sends this brilliant message of I'm going to do whatever I want. It's the exact same thing when President Trump was on his own golf course up in Scotland and said, no, actually, Ursula and Kier, you guys get in my helicopter and come see me at my golf course. And so
On your sovereign territory.
on your sovereign territory. So we're telling the city of London, we'll be in control here, and we're going to be doing exactly what we want.
And I would not in any way, manner, shape, or form discount the idea that we also told the Bank of England that we want Venezuela gold. We want any of the silver that was pledged. It's all ours now.
I'm certain of it. I am certain.
You know, this is very, and I need everybody to understand this is really freaking important because here's the thing. And I mentioned this this morning. I was just on with Dave Collum and Jim Kunstler and on Tommy Kerrigan's podcast, and I reminded everybody of what happened in 2011 when silver hit $49. Same weekend that the COMEX raised margin requirements, and then we announced that Osama bin Laden was dead. Now, was Osama bin Laden killed months before, weeks before? Who the fuck knows? But we know we announced it that night, and we broke the back, and we broke the back of the silver bull market at that moment, and silver didn't recover for the next 14 years.
Right.
That was done on purpose. It was a massive geopolitical event that created a turn in the gold to silver ratio and set up. And the more I think about it now, that was also a move to allow everybody to realize, oh, by the way, we vaporized Bear Stearns and their silver positions. We vaporized all of this stuff. We're in control of the silver market. We're in control of the gold market. And we're going to let that run. We'll let the gold market run. And then we're going to start the operation known as the global financial crisis of 2008 to nationalize the American healthcare system, to nationalize the mortgage system, and put the not Manchurian, but London candidate in the White House to then destroy the middle class of the United States over the next 15 years.
Student loan system went right into the ACA
well. All of that stuff. And now now that I reframe all of this part of history, now that makes perfect sense. So let's now fast forward to this morning, because we're doing this on Monday afternoon, January 5th. And we were talking about it over the weekend, and we're like, well, when the silver market opens, is it gonna crash? The same conditions, big geopolitical event, big piece taken off the game board. The opposite. Raised margins 30% on the longs, yada yada yada, and silver's up $4 today, not down $4.
No, that's right.
That's telling you this move and this board is fundamentally fucking different than it was before. Completely. London is no longer in charge of shit. They're going to be forced to deliver all of those physical silver obligations. They no longer have any.
That's right. So you've drained the vaults. And all they've got is paper. You've drained the vaults. All they've got is paper. And we're essentially doing to them what they tried to do to the world, what they tried to do to us.
What they successfully did to us for since 2008. And now the revenge is going to be served very fucking close. Cold.
Since World War II, Chatham House, RIIA, has anointed every single president of the United States. Even the boy from Arkansas, except one. And that would be Trump.
Donald John fucking Trump. And you're
look at JP Morgan, look at Jamie Dimon playing ball.
Yeah.
Whatever you want. Yes, with the Department of War, I will finance a silver smelter for you because I think that's what might stop making you angry at me. And I promise I'll move my metals overseas and I'll stop manipulating the shit out of everything. So I'll unwind all my shorts. So,
but Morgan, but this again, me and Vince and I were on this episode 154 of this podcast. We were on this the day that JP Morgan was anointed the sole custodian of the gold and the silver for SLB and GLD. That was that agreement happened years ago,
That's
folks.
right.
And it's all downstream of Morgan and Goldman and everybody
Right.
else assisting with the implementation of SOFR
Right.
and LIBOR. The Morgan
Goodbye,
has been ahead
LIBOR.
of this curve the whole freaking time, dudes. They
Yeah.
at the you have to flip if you're gonna do the financial independence game of the
Yeah.
United States. You
Yeah.
got to get the biggest bank
Yeah.
come on board.
Yeah. And now look
And
who's shoveling money into the system like there's no tomorrow. So you talk about the Russian central bank going down. How would you like to be, I don't know, Jay Powell today?
well, no, Jay Powell. See, here's the thing. But Jay Powell went along with all this as well. I think
He
Jay Powell.
did.
He
What
did.
choice did he have? What now? You got to credit Jay Powell with this because he's Mr. Sofer.
Yeah.
He is absolutely Mr. Sofer, and without Sofer right now, we'd be in deep. We'd be in
You
deep.
know, so you set
Yeah.
the table
Yeah.
back then. Like it's not. It's like we're talking about the end of the central bank. We've been saying this for years. I don't think Powell is any happier with the current Federal Reserve than anybody than we
Right.
are. Like
Right.
I'm you can't he can't say this publicly.
We're taking it out of their hands. We're
But
taking
all of
it
his
out of
policies.
their hands.
Yes.
And I don't know. I guess it'd be a fool's errand to go on Polymarket and guess when the end of the Bank of International Settlements is going to be, but it's going to happen.
But it's but yeah, so that would be the end of the Crown Corporation or whatever
It
the
will
hell.
be. It will be.
And you know what's left of and the IMF is what's left of the British
Yeah.
East India Company, right? Like
Yeah.
they were.
Go on eBay now and buy memorabilia with IMF and World Bank logos. Just go get it.
Mhm. Yeah, no, seriously, it's
Yeah.
all coming, folks. It's all
It
staring
is.
you in the
It
face,
is.
and it started with the 5 basis points to change the world.
It did.
It really
It did.
fucking did.
It did.
And I know, I hate to bust my hand, pat myself on the fucking back or anything, but
It's fun. Take the victory lap.
I got to take the victory lap on this one because I didn't even realize it at the time. It was purely an instinctual, an instinctual thing with me.
So some of our hosts that we work with in Newsmax, I will talk offline and we'll just go through perspective and context and all these things. And sometimes something will come up and they'll go, "Shit, we got to report that immediately." And I go, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa! Listen, Jimmy Olsen, no, don't report that." But it'll come to you. I'm just telling you to watch for it. The truth will come to you. It'll be fine. This will come right down the pipe to you. But don't get sometimes if you're the pioneer on something and you've got your timing off just a little bit, you get shot in the head. Just ask Stonewall Jackson.
Well, and let it percolate up through the alternative media space.
Oh yeah.
That's the best way for it. That's the best way for this to happen. And and that's why we're all still out here on out in the hinterlands doing our thing and smoking
having
cigars
a lot of fun.
And having
a lot of fun.
Fucking ball, dude. Are you kidding me? I love my goddamn job.
Yep.
I mean, and I never thought I'd be doing it this way. I just never thought that this would happen. But it's like everything else. Like you do good work. You apply the trade. You are consistent, and you have the right idea and the right ethos to bring the reality, a particular reality into the world, and eventually things happen. So, but it's important, honestly. I mean, forget all the back patting and the self-congratulations and everything else. There's still so much more fucking work to do. The only reason you uncover each of these bon mots, these little bits of history and all of it is in order to get through to the next thing. And what's going to be the next move on the board? As you alluded to earlier, now they know that we're here playing for keeps. So what comes next, Blaine?
Enemy gets a vote. That you saw my card to you about Happy New Year. It's welcome to the next round of Jumanji, and it only gets more dangerous from here. And so, no, this will be interesting. Look, I like where we're sitting. I'm excited that the first big chess move that gets you 30 results happened. I know there's another one coming, and but what I have cautioned the folks that I know on the administration team is you got to pay attention to the shot clock. Just because you're on offense and the game's going your way, there's another game going on. It's called the midterm elections. And if you don't get into the season of accountability right now, get this going, you're going to get into that summer area where you can't really put a paw on anybody because we're going to have to get through the elections first. And so what I would say is if you don't get active on that shot clock, you could find yourself with an impeached president by March of next year. And so there's your downside, kids. And don't look for Thune and Johnson to cooperate. They're not going to.
No.
In fact, the Republicans have already shown that they're ready to hand the reins over to the Democrats as quickly as humanly possible.
Right. And that would be Marjorie Taylor, drama queen.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That would be,
Oh, right. We'll blow this up. We'll blow this up and we'll make it look like a big MAGA rhino battle. It's not that at all. It's if we get this out of our hands, we don't have to be the party that sunk its own president. Right. And then we can let the bad guys take over. And then some future day, we'll be the adults in the room. But the grift and the graft will still go on in the swamp. Everybody will get paid. Nothing will change. Mm-hmm. And we'll all just do fine here. And the antibodies will have attacked the parasite and won. And that's where I advise them at all times. Please understand and respect your enemy at all times. Please.
Absolutely. You have to, because and I think they're very obvious how they've been, the game has been played. And so this is why when I watch them release all these smurfing numbers, I think that's a very, very powerful move. Like in that, you want to get John Thune to play ball, dude. Yeah. Like you stole $14 million, whatever the fuck it is.
That's right. $5 million for Johnson.
Yeah, $5 million for Johnson. Like 63 for what the hell? Who was this? What was his name? Like it was something ridiculous. And I'm like, hell,
Grassley. That was Grassley.
Yeah, I think it was Grassley. Amy Klobuchar only stole 9. And she was in Graft Central and friggin' Minnesota.
But this is my point. There is no aisle. They're all in on it, and it's we the people versus they the swamp.
Absolutely, absolutely, very, very well put. I like that a lot. I'm going to steal that.
Please do. There's no stealing amongst colleagues, my friend.
Absolutely, everybody's stealing ARC, so I'm a happy fucking camper on that front. Are you kidding me? Like throw it into the zeitgeist and just let it go. Ready?
That's
Creamsicle right. Mussolini has got it going right now, and that's all that matters. Have to my partner Dexter White on that one. We'll just throw all the jargon into the zeitgeist and let everybody fight over who gets to propagate it at this point. So they're gonna push back, and that pushback is going to come, I think, and I think you've already alluded to it. They're going to continue to activate because they've already shown what they're going to do. They're going to activate people on the ground.
Yep.
They're going to be knocking out power stations. They're going to be knocking out water treatment plants. They're going to be doing all that stuff.
It's coming.
Yeah, it's coming, and you're just going to have to be prepared for it. And folks, nothing worth doing isn't worth sacrificing a little bit for.
Don't be the generation that failed your founders or your grandchildren.
That's right.
Period.
Remember, let us all remind the British that if you don't think that Americans will not wrap their feet in fucking claws, get into boats, to row across a frozen river on Christmas Eve to go kill the enemy.
We do that shit.
That shit.
Yeah, Delaware too was with Maduro. And then the other, I was on the friend with he's a British friend of mine, but he's very liberal, and he was arguing with me about Trump and how he's the root of all evil and all that. And I said, can I give you a little piece of direct feedback about our viewpoint of you guys? And he goes, what's that? And I said, turns out at the end of the day, you're still lobsters.
Yeah. And everything that has a distinct odor of limes is going to be removed.
That's right.
From it's just all going away. Like
I'm looking forward to the American Revolutionary War finally ending, and I think we'll have we should all get together for a great party.
So it's funny. There's that rumor that the king is going to show up for the Independence Party on July 4th.
Wonderful.
And I think it's phenomenal that King Sausage Fingers should show up. I also think that he should make an announcement when he can make that he's dissolving Parliament on that day.
He should. I think they should put him up in the Maduro suite.
Why not? Absolutely. They could do that from the new ballroom that they're.
That's right. Put him up
done by then, right? Yeah,
yes, because they got to build something underneath that ballroom.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hey, so I don't know. What else we want to talk about before we close out? Wayne, what we got?
Look, I think it's an exciting world, but my number one concern, Tom, is that there are plenty of reasons for bad guys from Tehran to Beijing to light us up here at home, where we're very vulnerable. And nothing would distract President Trump further than watching activated cells operating in our nation. I think he's just a heartbeat away from declaring Insurrection Act for the cities that won't play ball, but you're not immune on small town Main Street. In fact, the cartels are represented on every single Main Street in America, and that
Mhm.
means you need to know your neighbors, know your community. Yes, lead is a precious metal. You need to take care of one another, and nobody's coming. In fact, they're all busy. So you
Yeah.
need to rally around your communities and do a good job of doing that. This war could be fought here at home very quickly.
Very, very quickly. And I can tell everybody that the name of this blog project, everything else is Gold Ghosts and Guns for a fucking reason. So even my old tired eyes are going out to the range.
They should.
This,
Yep.
absolutely. I mean, it's at that, we're at that point, folks. And I want to just hear the beautiful news that we're going to bring lead smelters back to the United States.
We are. It's cool. We're going to be doing some really cool shit. It's a good time. These are great days to be alive.
And it's also going to be hard. But it's one of the things I was saying to Dave and Jim before we popped on this podcast was that just because we're seeing a great just because things are good, look like we're getting edified now, we're also terrified, right?
Yeah.
You have to be a little bit of both. This is not, we're not going to get out of here without, neither of us have any fucking hair, but to quote George C. Scott, without getting our hair mussed.
Yes.
And they're going to institute Plan R, and I don't know what Plan R is going to look like.
Yep.
So
we know it's there. We know it's there.
We know it's there, and then we know it's going to be pulled off the shelf. Okay.
Yep.
Mr. Blaine Holt, thank you very much, sir.
Tom, it's always my pleasure. I've enjoyed spending this hour with you, and thank you very much. And we'll get you back on Dangerous Intellectuals again real soon. And folks can come visit either one of us at Newsmax whenever they'd like to.
Yep. And tell everybody where they can find you on Twitter, because that's where the fun part.
Twitter is at Danger Thinking. You'll come find today's episode interviews Jonathan Gilliam, our friend, about what just went down over the weekend. It's also a fresh take. And then at Xeriant.com, Xeriant.com. That is my technology company. I am an entrepreneur. I'm building it. We're capitalizing, and we're launching bravely into arguably the most dangerous capital environment that you could ever have.
Well, that's no guts.
Hold
no
my
glory.
beer.
Yeah, no guts, no glory, my friend. So
right.
With that said, you guys know the drill. Patreon/Gold Goats and Guns, TFL1728 on Twitter, where I'm the head sneech doing a man's job every day. With all that said, you guys be well. You take care. We'll talk soon. Keep your stick on the ice.